Who's your candidate? Hi, I'm Mayor Asia Brown, and I'm running for re-election again April 18th, 2017.
Miss Asia Brown,
Yes,
Mayor
sir.
Asia Brown, thank you for letting me come in.
Thanks for having me.
We're at campaign headquarters.
Yes.
And you guys been here for what, maybe a month now?
About a month, yes.
Yeah, okay. So how's the campaign going so far?
It's going great. We have a lot of support in the community, and people are really appreciative of the changes that they've seen. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's always great to just reconnect with voters and to really talk about the future plans that we have, current projects that most people don't know about. So we've been having a great time.
So this is your second time campaigning.
Yes.
What's the difference between actually campaigning as a mayor versus campaigning as a candidate?
I think for me, it's not that different. The advantage, I think, is that people know who I am. They've really seen what we're about. They can see the changes in the city, so it's just more easier to talk with them about what we want to do moving forward. I think the difference is that because I'm the mayor sitting now, that people that are running, they are focused on me as the individual, as the target for why they're running against me. But when I ran the first time, and you can attest to this, I wasn't running against Eric Perriton. I was running for the seat of mayor, so I didn't personalize what I was doing or even compare myself to anybody else. So that's really the difference that I see.
So do you feel like it's people are gunning at you as
I do, but
personal?
I could take it. Yeah.
Politics seem to be a little personal.
Everything's personal, unfortunately, but I look forward to a day where it's more about the business, the people's business, doing the work and results.
Now, I was talking to a few citizens. A lot of people feel like the support between the city council and the school board isn't as strong as it should be. What's your take on that?
I agree. I think that the ideal situation is when the city and the school district works hand in hand, because number one, we all have the same tax dollars, so our property taxes are paying for the city and the schools, and so when there are opportunities for us to collaborate, reduce costs for our taxpayers, that's the way that a partnership should really be. We shouldn't be competing institutions, but I think that historically that's just been the case, and people are stuck in their ways. They're used to being adversarial, but I look at it that these are all of our kids. If the city can step in and support, I personally directed many partnerships to the school district, and I was secret about it because it wasn't about people knowing what I did. It was about the kids getting the service and the resource. So I'm just looking forward to a day where we can have public servants that are truly here for the residents. This is not a political platform for them, but they're truly focused on what they can do for our people and especially our babies, because our kids, they're everything for us. They're our legacy. So I'm looking forward to a stronger alliance in the years to come.
So how do you plan on building that stronger alliance going into the future?
I think that I've supported additional candidates to run for school board. I'll be supporting additional candidates this year, November 2017. And the most important part for me, I think, is really activating our young folks and making sure that they understand that they have the power. And I think that to take a step back, we look at what happened at the national election, and people already felt that their vote didn't count, but really seeing the popular vote go to Hillary Clinton and the presidency go to Donald Trump. Most people are just disenfranchised with voting in general, and so we're focusing on really building millennials, because our city is a young city. And then also one thing that's near and dear to my heart is just leadership development. So like this month we're actually launching a community roundtable targeted toward millennials about what's our plans for the future, what do we want to see in our city, and how can we direct those resources and hold your government accountable, because most people don't even know which branch of government is responsible for what. So knowledge is power. So the first phase for me is just educating, informing, so that people can be activated. And then once we understand what we need to do, then we can be empowered and engaged. And so it takes time to build that capacity, but it also takes the time to really be able to focus on those things. And when I came into the mayorship, the city was at ground zero. I mean, we had a $43 million deficit. We had employees that were on furloughs and laid off. We had the federal government, they were taking grant funds from us because of mismanagement. We had a pension fund that was grabbed by the state. We had to fight to get those funds back. So there was a lot going on to just stabilize the city. And so where we are now, we have Our finances are in order. We've passed balanced budgets. We have a dedicated revenue to fix our streets. So now we get to the fun part of, okay, what do we want our city to look like? Let's make it happen.
So we have a plan now in place to fix the
Absolutely.
streets.
Yes, we do.
Because that's what people are
Yes.
most upset about. Like I hear
Yes.
that more. Like I talk to people outside of the city council meetings, and probably about 7 out of 10 people are talking about the actual streets.
Oh, yes, it's a big issue. It was an issue when I ran the first time, and you remember that
Yeah.
as well. And when I ran the first time, I recognized that if we don't have a dedicated source of revenue for our streets, we can't maintain the ones we have, we can't rebuild our streets, and we certainly can't be prepared for the future so that we never get in this condition again. And so I knew before I ran that I was going to introduce a sales tax measure, which I did, which the voters passed. And so now we have $8 million annually dedicated for street repairs, and currently the city has zero, and it's had zero for about 20 years. So they're literally using grant funds to just patch up streets, which is not sufficient when we're a city of 10 square miles.
Okay. Now, how has the city benefited the most from you being its mayor?
I think definitely a fresh perspective. I've been able to really re-engage and to bring back partners that had really written Compton off. One example is the federal government. I had a great relationship with the White House, and we've been able to actually get $9 million of federal grant funds in the city of Compton in the last 3.5 years. And that's really from relationships and really restoring our credibility as having some decent, credible leadership. Also being able to have a strategy to address our city's issues. Anybody can run on the fact that we have potholes or we need to fix our streets, but the real issue is, do you have a plan to address the problem? And not only address the problem, but to make sure that we don't return in the same condition. And so when people are able to resonate that, you know what, we have a 12-point plan, I know what I need to do. It touched my heart. Yesterday I received a letter from a block club here, and they said, you know what, we're dedicated to the principles of the 12-point plan. We make a commitment as a block club to carry out your commitment to quality of life, infrastructure, and family. And so it really, the biggest thing to empower a community is that everybody has the power. It's not about me, the mayor. It's not about any mayor. It's not about any council. It's about us being accountable to our constituents. They have them having an actual pathway to be engaged in their community, and then all of us working together. It's a team. So that's really what I think that people have been able to see. I think regardless of what you do, you can be the best person in the universe. You're always going to have people that are unhappy on something or that are critical about something. But I've learned that I don't take things personal, because at the end of the day, I know the dedication that I've had to the city of Compton, the personal sacrifices that I've made to serve with excellence. People have never heard a scandal about me. They've never seen me in some club doing something I wasn't supposed to do, because I take this job serious. I know that I represent 100,000 residents, and I think that that's what they receive with me being their mayor. And it touches my heart when I have seniors saying, you know, I'm proud that you represent us, and you and your husband, you know, you are a great representation of what we believe Compton is, what it has been, and what it's going to be. So it's an honor to serve.
Why should the citizens of Compton trust you for another 4-year term?
Well, I've kept my promises. I promised the residents I would focus on job creation. Our unemployment rate went from 18.5%, which was triple the state and national average, to 7.5%. And we still have about 1,000 jobs in the pipeline today. We also have a new partnership with Metro that we're rolling out, the only city in the region that has a direct relationship with Metro for local hiring. So all of the construction jobs that we'll have from fixing all of our streets will go to Compton residents because of a policy I introduced in 2013. But also this new partnership with Metro will give us priority access to all the transportation jobs in the entire region if you live in the city of Compton. And so we're partnering with additional agencies, Southwest Carpenters Unions, different organizations, the laborers, and they have paid apprenticeship programs, the WIN program with Metro for young people. So if you're 16 years old, you can start working to earn a 6-figure income in the next 2.5 years by working through the city of Compton. And it's just for residents. Same thing with local businesses. There's bonuses for bidding on city projects. If you live in the city of Compton and you agree to employ Compton residents, I really went to bat for our people on jobs. Also bringing new companies in. We've never had this many groundbreakings, this much development in the city of Compton in the last 35, 40 years. We've welcomed so many companies, sit-down restaurants. We talked about grocery stores.
7-Eleven is popping up all over.
7-Eleven is popping up everywhere, so I'm not going to take credit for 7-Eleven, but I can tell you that when we've advocated for grocery stores, that was one big thing when we talked about the I Pledge Compton. We didn't have healthy grocery stores in the city of Compton. Ralph's, remember we would go to Ralph's and get food that was bad, spoiled meat. I sat down with Ralph's July 2013. I said, listen, I need you either to improve your store or we can have you to leave and we can bring in a new grocery store. And so their commitment was, you know what, we're actually downsizing Ralph's everywhere. We'll commit to put $1.5 million in our Food for Less to remodel it, which they did, and it's one of the nicest Food for Lesses in the region on Rosecrans. The lighting is beautiful, all of the different foods. And then we were able to actually recruit Smart and Final to come in, which is an awesome grocery store. And then even when Fresh and Easy closed its doors nationwide, we were able to bring in Grocery Outlet, which is actually owned by a local family, and they employed 100% of Compton residents. And you can get fresh organics in Grocery Outlet. You can get all types of great foods. And then Walmart also came into the city of Compton. We didn't recruit Walmart, but they worked through the old Compton swap meet, bought their property. But once they came, I sat down with Walmart and I said, look, I need local jobs for my people. 50% of people that work in Walmart are Compton residents, and they're young people. So we've continued to deliver healthy food. We also approved a new restaurant called Save More, which is going to be located on Compton and Central. Another request from people was, we need more housing. We've approved several housing projects. We have single-family homes under construction, market rate, affordable. We've also really brought in new partnerships with the city of Compton to expand just basic services. We have programs now for single dads, human trafficking. For youth, we have housing assistance programs. You can come to the city and get first-time home buyers funds up to $150,000 to buy a home right here in your city. There's even down payment assistance programs. So we've really expanded the services that are available for our residents.
Nice. Okay. Now I have a few complaints.
Yes.
I just wanted to see how, what's your response to some of these things. Surveillance cameras on the intersections that people feel aren't being utilized.
That's actually not true.
Okay.
We have our camera project is actually in 3 phases. So when I got here, we actually had cameras only in the parks. And so we paid some additional funding to get the cameras in the intersections that actually recognize license plates. And so we've had a couple of unfortunate homicides, but we were actually able to get the license plate number from the actual camera system. Now, there has been instances when the camera is down, but when the camera is down, it actually notifies the city and we can send a technician. But the next goal is to finish the final phase, which will also finish all the major intersections as well as some residential areas that are, they're still public right-of-ways, but they're hotspots for crime. And so those are the things that we're doing, but
So
no
have those
system is
cameras
perfect.
actually been used to convict anyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the sheriffs, they actually made a presentation about the status of their crime, and that was one of their highlights, that they were able to identify the make, model, and they actually had an image of the vehicle. It was a white truck that was involved in the homicide in the 3rd district, so near the Richland Farms area.
Okay. Okay. Park restrooms.
Yes.
What's going on with those? There's no more park restrooms?
Well, before I got here, all the restrooms have been closed, and there was an issue with vagrants living in there. There were people doing drugs in the restroom, and we didn't have sufficient staff to actually monitor the parks or the restroom because employees were on furloughs. So once we restored employees from furloughs, we were able to open back some of our parks that didn't have any staff. And so the next phase is being able to open up our restrooms. Now, some restrooms were actually removed because of the issues that I stated before, but what we've done is we've put together a strategy to employ prefab restrooms, which are really nice, but you can actually see who's inside the restroom visually, but it still has privacy, and it's actually more energy efficient. And so we have all the plans. The next park that will have the prefab restroom is South Park. We actually put some additional equipment in South Park as well from a partnership, so no city funding was used. But so all the parks will have restrooms as part of our funding with Measure P as well.
Do we have a date that we expect to have these?
Our goal is to do the first phase of our restrooms in 2017.
Okay.
And so with Measure P, it was to fund all of our street improvements, lighting, and also park enhancements and public safety. So those are like the 4 main categories.
Gotcha. Okay. And then another one was ICE.
Yes.
Another one that concerns of the residents was ICE. will ICE be coming into the city? Is the city working with ICE? How does
No.
that?
So first thing is the city is not coordinating with ICE at all.
Okay.
Compton Sheriff's is not coordinating with ICE at all. We've made this public. We've said it many times, and we sent out notices. We had a town hall forum. Unfortunately, because of fear, many people didn't come to that forum, but we've been continuing to share that information. The other part is the city of Compton has not taken the step to be a official sanctuary city because of the promised sanctions from President Trump to remove all federal funding from cities that actually call themselves sanctuary cities. And so the first thing that I did was to figure out what that impact would be to our bottom line. And it's over, the number I think was over $3.5 million would impact us, which is pretty significant for our budget. And so what our commitment was to not coordinate with ICE whatsoever. Our sheriffs are not coordinating with ICE whatsoever. And we're continuing to stay in contact with our congressperson, who's also, she's one of the committee members of Homeland Security. And so she's able to get us additional information. And so we get weekly reports. I haven't heard of any reports from residents of ICE in Compton. I do know that there were 2 people that were from the city of Compton that were picked up, but they were picked up in the city of LA. And so that's what I have so far, but we're going to continue to monitor. I believe regardless of where you were born, where you live, this is about families. And I think that anytime that you displace people and you break up families, not only are you tearing up the fabric of that family and the community, but there's also a cost associated with deporting people back to another country, because what happens to their children? If you deport the father or the mother that
Right.
provides for these kids, where do they go? They're going to be in the system. So then we're going to be putting all these children in foster care. Is that the strategy? That doesn't make any sense to me. So that's my stance on ICE, and we're going to continue to do everything that is within our power to protect our families here in Compton.
Okay. Can you give me an example of the most, something difficult, some of your
Yes.
difficulties as mayor for this city?
There are many, yes.
Sure.
I'm really transparent. I keep it real. This is a tough job. I think being mayor anywhere is hard because you have to be local, but you also have to be regional, statewide, and national to get those resources, partnerships, and so there's a balance. And in Compton particularly, the historic political structure has been very familial. It's been, if you're not a part of our regime, then you're on the outskirts and you're an enemy. And so I'm really independent. I have my own mind. I have my own ideas of what I would like to see and what I want to do. And then I don't agree with everything that everybody does, period. I don't agree with everything my husband thinks, so I don't agree with everything that anyone else thinks either. So the biggest thing is to not take things personal. And what I have not seen is the ability for many people that are on the council to take the personal outside of being a council person and just take care of the city's business. We don't have to be best friends. We don't have to go to the jazz festival together. We don't have to go eat together, but we should be able to always make the best decision for our residents. And so it's been difficult even with our sales tax measure. People are like, well, how come we have to wait until 2016 to vote on Measure P to fix our streets? Well, I said, well, the backstory is that, well, first, we had to get a capital improvement plan. We had to assess the condition of our streets, get that dollar figure, prepare the Measure P proposal, bring it to the city council. It took the city council over a year to approve it to even be put on the ballot. And so people don't see that. They don't really know that, not unless they go to all the council meetings. So I actually brought Measure P forward for a vote 4 times, and the council denied it. And it took over a year for them to finally say, okay, we're going to let the people vote on this.
Why do you think it was denied?
I think that people sometimes they believe it is not their idea, that they don't want to support it. People can make up whatever type of excuse, but I've told my colleagues publicly and privately, it doesn't have to be my idea, but we have to bring something forward so we can move forward. So either we got a couple choices here. Either they can bring a proposal that we can vote on or that we can change and make better together, or I can bring a proposal that we can change, make better, and vote on. But somebody has to come up with the strategy. And so if I'm there on the city council for 2 years and no one has developed a strategy, then I'm going to continue to move forward with the strategy that I had before I was elected. And I've had experience working in government. This is what my education is in, and I think that sometimes people have a little bit of animosity that, you think you know everything, but it's not that I think I know everything, but I just know what I know in terms of how to run a city. And so, there are people that have so much experience in the community, they have influence over people, and they could be such powerful leaders, if they use their influence for good, for right. And so I don't discount anybody. I'm not a person that only associates myself with certain type of people. People that know me well, my friends are all colors. They come from all backgrounds. I mean, I'm not that kind of person. So for me, it's not that I prejudge anyone, but we should be able to come together and put our personal differences aside and just move the city forward. And lastly, you know, we have a council. This is historic to have 4 women on the city council, 4 African American women on top of that. We should be able to work together to move forward.
Do you think
Period.
that's what makes it difficult that we have 4 African American women on the board?
My experience has been that regardless of the fact that we're women, so we have that commonality. Regardless of the fact that we're both African American, we have that commonality. Regardless of the fact that we all live in the city of Compton, we have that commonality. We haven't been able to come together on one accord to say, okay, you know what, here's the problem. This is the only solution that we have. Let's take the solution and move on. And let's all win. Because I share all the time, I don't have a district. I represent the whole city. So anything that's positive, it's going to benefit somebody's district. So it's a win-win all the way around. So I don't have a special incentive to not do something good for the city. I've never voted against anything positive for the city, and I can pride myself on that. Anything that's positive, anything that's beneficial, I support it. I don't care who brings it forward.
Is Asia Brown considered dismissive?
I think people can consider that, and I think that that's a part of the difference between having men and women leadership. And I think that most people are very biased implicitly to even recognize that they have a different expectation for women leadership. And I'll give you an example. If someone comes and says, you know what, Asia Brown, I hate you, I don't like your necklace, I think that you're stupid, I think that you're, bad, or X, Y, and Z. And I say, okay, well, thank you very much. They can say, well, you know what, you're dismissive. But if I react, then I'm going to be considered emotional. So which one is it? Or could it be that, you know what, I have control of my emotions, I can be objective and recognize that these people don't know me personally, so anything that they can say to me doesn't have much weight to me, but I'm going to stay focused on my mark and why I'm here and continue to take care of business, then I can see how they can say that I'm dismissive. But in reality, I'm just being objective and professional like any other man would do that's in this role.
Okay. As mayor,
Yes.
what's your take on the City of Grind using the Compton City logo?
I don't have a lot of information on that. I've heard different rumors. I've personally experienced people spreading rumors about me, so I don't take a lot of rumors with a lot of weight. When people can bring facts to me, and then I can make a determination. If you have something specific, I can answer it to the best of my ability. But
Well, they are using the Compton logo as their logo. Do you have a take on that?
I believe that the City of Compton's logo does belong to the residents of Compton. Now, if there are any type of trademark infringements or copyright infringements, then I think that we need to follow the law and take whatever action that's appropriate. But from what my understanding is, that's not the case, that the City of Compton does not have a trademark on that logo. Should those people use that logo, that's a personal decision. But legally, I don't believe that anything has been violated according to what my legal advice has been.
So as of now, the city is not even concerned with that?
Legally, we don't have any recourse with that at
Okay.
this time. So that's where we are.
How do we get, there's a lot of division in the City of Compton. From the residents to the business owners to the council to the school board.
Yes.
How do we bring unity?
I really believe that the responsibility is on the leadership.
Okay.
I think that if we model unity, then we can then be an example, and we can outreach to the school board, and we can then be an example that we have a great relationship. We can outreach to the college, we can outreach to our businesses, then go down to our neighborhoods and to our families. So it starts with us, and I take full responsibility of everything that's within my power. And so, like I said, I look forward to a day, and I'm praying that it's one day soon where we can have more unity on the council, because one thing that people know about me, we could have a disagreement one day and actually one minute and turn around and continue to work forward and move things forward, because I don't take things personal. And even the person that most people understand is probably my biggest adversary on the council, she knows that when we get to closed session, we don't have any issues, we can laugh, we can joke. I'm going to take care of the city's business. So for me, I don't personally dislike anyone, because like I said, I have my personal life and then I have my assignment, which is my service.
Lastly,
Yes.
why should the City of Compton vote for you again?
I think to finish the work. I think that we've come a long way in terms of all the new development that we've had. We've had a lot of renewed partnerships, interests. We have great things that are underway for our young people, for our families, jobs. And I really want to be here to be a good steward over Measure P and make sure that it's implemented properly, that those funds are protected, that the projects that we promised when I knock on the doors with the voters are actually set in place, and that regardless of who the mayor is, regardless of who the council is, that these things move forward on autopilot. And so that's my commitment, to make sure that everything is laid out, set in stone, so that, you know what, the next term when I'm no longer here, that the next person can come in and, you know, the things will continue to prosper, because a real leader doesn't make everything contingent on them being here. And so my mark and my legacy, for me, my goal is to make sure that not only did we help transform the community, not only did we help create jobs and opportunity and beautify our city, clean up our city, but that these things are going to last, because anything that is done right, it should last. And so my heart is going to be when I look back 20 years from now and the streets are still being maintained because we set up maintenance funds, that the lights are still on because, you know what, they're LED lights and they don't cost a lot of money, that we're still in the black because we made sure that these funds were in a bond so that people can't just redirect those monies anytime that they want to. And so that's my goal, and that's what people will get in me as being their mayor again for another term.
Sounds good. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.